Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, it's time for another franchise ranking video today, guys. I'm going to be ranking the movies of one of my favourite action movie franchises of all time, which is for Rambo. So guys, I'm going to be ranking all 5 of the movies of this franchise. I'm going to be ranking them from best to worst in my personal opinion. So, if you guys don't agree, that's absolutely fine, but please respect my opinion just like I respect yours. Okay, so starting with what is my number 1 favourite Rambo movie of all time in first place, I'm going to go with the first movie, which is called First Blood, released in 1982, directed by Ted Kotcheff. So yeah, now this is definitely my favourite of the franchise, guys, and let's talk about the pros, because I think it's a very great movie. I have no problem with it at all, so yeah. So the good qualities is, I really love the cast, guys. So for example, the main highlights of the movie is definitely the legendary Sylvester Stallone as John Rambo. I consider it to be probably my second favourite role Sylvester Stallone of all time, after Rocky Balboa in the Rocky movies and the 2 Creed movies. And he was really amazing. This movie is such a badass, and it was absolutely awesome. He did such a phenomenal job playing John Rambo. And yeah. And I also, as well, love the addition of Richard Crenna, may he rest in peace, as Sam Trotman. And yeah, Trotman is also my second favourite character in this franchise, guys, right after Rambo. And yeah, I think he's such a really great mentor figure towards Rambo and a very good friend to him. And I really, really liked Richard Crenna's performance as him. And yeah, he's such a great character in my opinion, guys. And this movie in particular, yeah. And I'm going to touch upon the ending when I'm talking about why I like Trotman. I also as well liked the casting of Brian Dennehy, may he also rest in peace, as the villain called Will Teasel, who is a very mean sheriff, who is very mean, who takes his liking to him just because he wants to have breakfast, when he has a very messy appearance when he arrives in town. So yeah, poor Rambo. And so yeah, now, and other characters are also really good as well, guys, in my opinion. For example, I love the addition of Bill McKinney as Kern, Jack Starrett as Art Goat, Michael Talbot as Bolford, Chris Mulkey as Ward, John McLean as Orville, Alf Humphreys as Lester, Derek Caruso as Mitch, and yeah, there's many other great cast in this movie, guys. I mean, all play the characters really well. I also really love the story, guys. The story is very entertaining to watch and has really great pacing, in my opinion. It's very fun to watch. It's about Rambo being a troubled and misunderstood Vietnam and war veteran who must rely on his combat and survival skills when a series of brutal events results in him having to survive a massive manhunt by police and government troops near the small town of Hope in Washington. Yeah, really great story. And the setting of Hope, Washington was also really great too. It fit the story really well, in my opinion. And the action is also really amazing for 1980s standards. It's really awesome. What's ironic, guys, is this is the Rambo movie in which there's the least amount of blood. So yeah, and John doesn't kill anyone in this movie, if I remember correctly. So yeah, or at least I'm pretty sure he does wound them, of course, because he fights them, and yeah. And this movie gets its title from of course the quote, "They drew first blood." So yeah. And yeah, the action was really great to watch, guys, and yeah. I also as well really love the music composed by Jerry Goldsmith. He did a really great job composing music, guys. In my opinion, he's a very good composer. And one of the main highlights of the movie, in my opinion, guys, is also, this is why I like Trotman, guys, is probably Rambo's speech at the end of the movie, where he gets really upset and has a breakdown, and he collapses, talking about the terrors he had in his war in Vietnam, losing many of his friends. He couldn't have a job due to having post-traumatic stress disorder, and the treatment he received from fellow Americans when he came home, and being forgotten by the country that he sacrificed so much for. And I really liked how Trotman was able to comfort him and convince him to surrender so he wouldn't be killed if he didn't surrender. Yeah, I'm very glad that Trotman saved him, yeah. It's because of, this movie that I really appreciate Trotman, guys, and yeah. And of course, rest in peace, Richard Crenna. So yeah, this is definitely a great movie, guys. My first out of Rambo franchise. It's a really touching movie, in my opinion. What a great start to it. Yeah, definitely my favourite one. This movie can never be topped, in my opinion. And, guys, I will give this movie a flat-out 10 out of 10. It's definitely my favourite. And now on to what is my second favourite in the franchise after First Blood, guys. I'm going to definitely go with what is the fourth installment, which is Rambo, released in 2008, directed by Sylvester Stallone himself. He directed it, so yeah. So, this movie is definitely my second favourite, guys, and it is also, in my opinion, as described by second placement, the best of the sequels to the first movie, in my opinion, and yeah, and we'll get to why. So, the good qualities, I would say, is that Sylvester Stallone is still really awesome as Rambo. He does an absolutely amazing job playing Rambo this movie, guys, and yeah. And this movie was released quite some time after the third one, so Sylvester did get older quite a bit, but in my opinion, he still got it. As shown in this movie, and also in Rocky Balboa from 2006, he's still got it at being an action star. He truly has. Because he was so awesome in this movie. Really brilliant. And I also like the addition of the supporting cast. For example, I like the addition of Matthew Marsden as Schoolboy. And also Graham McTavish as Lewis. And yeah, and the villain in the movie was also very good as well, called Tint. I think he's called, yeah, Tint. Major Party Tint, yeah, played by Mong Kin. He was very good in my opinion, guys. Really good. He was such a very compelling villain in my opinion, guys. And probably my second favourite villain after, right after Brian Dennehy's character. So yeah, absolutely. But in my opinion, Brian Dennehy's performance can't really be talked as a villain. But this villain, in my opinion, Major Tint, was probably my second favourite. And I also as well think that aside from the cast, guys, I think probably the main highlight of this movie is definitely the gore. Like, oh my goodness, the amount of gore in this movie is so insane. Like, it's just what you need for a Rambo movie. It's absolutely sick. And yeah, like, it's so brutal. And yeah, like, one particular scene that I'd love to talk about is probably the ending fight scene where Rambo launches an attack on Tint's soldiers. And oh wow, it's just so brutal. And the way Tint dies is also really brutal, where Rambo cuts his guts open with a machete. Oh goodness me. But yeah, it's just what you need for a Rambo movie. It's just brilliant. I also loved the music composed by Brian Tyler. Great music in my opinion. And when it comes to a cast, I think Schoolboy and Lewis were probably the most entertaining out of Rambo's team members in my opinion, guys. And also, guys, as well as the action and also the performances, I also think that, in my opinion, this movie does have the perfect ending of the franchise, where Rambo returns to America to visit his father at his home in Bowie, Arizona. So, yeah, because even though I do like the next one after this, guys, a little bit, I still think this movie is the true ending of Rambo. So, yeah, in my series I'll be doing of movies that didn't need sequels, I'll be including this movie because, in my opinion, this movie didn't need any sequels because, in my opinion, it closed the franchise perfectly. And yeah, however, there's a couple of reasons why this is my second favourite and not my all-time favourite Rambo movie. So I think the bad qualities I could say is that aside from Matthew Marsden and Graham McTavish and Mong Kin's characters, I think several of the supporting cast needed better development, in my opinion. I think they were quite weak, to be honest, and yeah, needed better development. But they didn't really remove, in my opinion. They just, I think that was overshadowed by the good qualities I just mentioned. And I think sometimes in the action scenes, the camera can get a little bit shaky, so it's quite hard to see what's going on, but yeah. But it's definitely a way better cam work than the horrendous cam work I've seen in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. Definitely way better cam work than that. So yeah. So guys, this is my second favourite, and I give this movie a 9 out of 10. Then we go on to what is my third favourite, which is the sequel to the first film, the second film, which is Rambo First Blood Part 2, directed by George P. Cosmatos. So yeah, this is again a good movie, guys. A pretty worthy sequel to the first movie, in my opinion. So the good qualities I would say is, once again, the acting by the cast is really good, such as from, of course, Sylvester Stallone as Rambo, and also Richard Crenna as Trautman returning from the first movie. And yeah, and this movie is pretty good, guys, and yeah, but in my opinion, not really as good as the first movie or the fourth movie, and we'll get to why. But other good qualities I will say is the action is really good, guys. I like how this movie does turn Rambo into the badass we know, and he becomes, very, really awesome, and yeah, and definitely a very, very, very powerful killer, in my opinion, because he's pretty unstoppable with his skills. He's pretty awesome. And I like how they did a new setting in this movie compared to the first movie, which of course took place in Hope in Washington. Instead, it's going to take place in Vietnam. And it was pretty good, this movie, guys. Yeah, really fun to watch. And yeah. But but it's still not really as good in my opinion as a first movie. But yeah, still a good movie. So yeah, taking place in Vietnam, this movie is compared to the first movie. Other quality I will say is that Jerry Goldsmith still does great music in my opinion, and thankfully this movie also still has the same amount of charm and charisma as the first movie in my opinion, a little bit thanks to Sylvester Stallone and Richard Crenna. Like in my opinion, they work really well together, and yeah, they're really fun to watch together, and the action is really good. We even get an appearance as well, guys, by Martin Cove as Michael Reed Erickson, who I know from the Karate Kid franchise as the evil teacher John Kreese, the head of Cobra Kai. So yeah, it was cool to see him make an appearance in this movie. And yeah, however, when it comes to bad qualities, guys, I think in my opinion the villains were quite weak, to be honest, and nowhere near as good as characters like Brian Dennehy's character from the first movie, Will Teasel, and nowhere near as good as Tim from the 2008 movie either, in my opinion. But they were good what they were given, though, in my opinion, guys. Not terrible villains, just a little bit weaker. And I also didn't like how the love interest of Rambo got killed. I thought that was not really good movie, in my opinion, guys. I thought she deserved better than that. But nonetheless, this is still a good movie, guys, and I will give this movie an 8 out of 10. Now, on to what is my fourth favourite, guys. We're going to go on to which is actually the most recent Rambo movie, which is the sequel to the 2008 movie, which is Rambo Last Blood, released in 2019, directed by Adrian Grunberg. So, yeah, now, I know a lot of people hate this movie, guys, and, that's their opinion, but for me, personally, I don't really hate it as much as them. I mean, it's not a perfect movie, but I still think it's good, in my opinion. I don't think it's a bad movie. So, the good qualities is that Sylvester Stallone is still really amazing as Rambo, as always. No one can play Rambo better than him, in my opinion. And he was really good in this movie, in my opinion, as him. The action, for what it's worth, is still really good, although, in my opinion, there wasn't as much action in this movie compared to what I just talked about before. The visuals are also very good, and it also has a pretty good epilogue as well, in my opinion, guys. Pretty nice ending. And I like how the credits showed flashbacks to scenes from the previous movies, which was pretty nice to see. How it's acknowledged them. And yeah. And also, in my opinion, the underground tunnel fight is definitely really fun to watch, guys. It's pretty entertaining to watch. And I like how this movie preserved the amount of gore that the 2008 one had. It was pretty good how it kept the gore. And Brian Tyler's music is also really good as well, guys. And also, guys, I also don't understand why people think this movie is xenophobic just because it takes place in Mexico. Like, really? How is that xenophobic? It's not. Come on. So, yeah, I don't believe this movie to be xenophobic at all, guys. Alright, so, yeah. However, when it comes to bad qualities, so, there's reasons why I think this isn't as good as the first few films I just mentioned. So the bad quality I will say about Last Blood, guys, is that, it's definitely, in my opinion, an unnecessary sequel, yes, because, like I said before with Rambo 2008, I think the 2008 movie perfectly wrapped up the franchise, because it showed Rambo returning home, so yeah, I think that perfectly ended the franchise. And also, when it comes to characters, guys, I did not like Gabrielle, who is Rambo's niece, Gabriella Beltran, because she was very annoying and stupid, and she was also really stupid to go into town to find her father, despite Rambo telling her not to. He warned her not to go. But she never listened. She went to Mexico, and she went to Manuel to ask why he abandoned her and her mother, and he coldly told her he never cared for her, and as a result, she then got kidnapped and drugged, and then unfortunately later she died. And plus, guys, the idea of her being kidnapped and having Rambo in to rescue her, it reminds me way too much of Taken, guys. Yeah, this feels like a knockoff of Taken, but at least it didn't try too much to be like Taken, because compared to Taken where Brian successfully rescued his daughter, unfortunately Gabrielle died, so yeah, that was all in vain. So yeah, not entirely rip-off, but the idea of being kidnapped and the main character having to rescue is just like Taken. And also, in my opinion, the villains aren't really that good, in my opinion, like Hugo Martinez, he was decent, but not as good as the villains I just talked about, but yeah. And I feel like, in many areas, there's a bit of a slow pace, especially due to a lack of action compared to the movies before. And it can also feel quite rushed as well, guys, because it's only like 89 minutes in the UK release, which is a bit disappointing. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. And yeah, but nonetheless, guys, in my opinion, it's not a bad movie, but still a necessary sequel, so I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. And now, oh god, now we get on to what is, in my opinion, the worst Rambo movie of all time. And in my opinion, guys, the worst Rambo movie in last place for me is going to be Rambo 3, released in 1988, directed by Peter McDonald. And yeah, I personally didn't like this movie, guys. In my opinion, it's the worst Rambo movie and a disappointing compared to the first two and the 2008 movie. And yeah, I even think it's worse than Last Blood. But yeah, so a good quality to say if there's any, guys, is Sylvester Stallone and Richard Crenna are still very good as Rambo and Trotman. And sadly, guys, this is his last appearance as Trotman because Richard Crenna, of course, died after this movie, so you rest in peace, Richard Crenna. The music composed by Jerry Goldsmith is also still really good, in my opinion, and some of the action, I guess, is decent, in my opinion. And the new setting, I like how we did a new setting this time where it takes place in Afghanistan instead of America or Vietnam. So, okay, that's probably one good thing. However, on to bad qualities. Like, in my opinion, this movie feels like way too cartoonic to be a Rambo movie. And it also feels really boring in numerous areas, guys. And I personally didn't like that. Like, there's a lack of action, which is disappointing. And also, guys, when it comes to a cast, they even introduced a character called Robert Griggs, played by Kurtwood Smith, and he was absolutely wasted. Like, cause if I remember correctly, he only appeared in one scene. So that was disappointing, guys. So, like, one absolute waste of Kurtwood Smith. So, yeah. Like, I think I prefer him way more as Clarence Boddicker in RoboCop over this role, definitely, because he was so wasted. And I feel like this movie lacks the charm and heart of the first two movies and was a big set down compared to them. And yeah. And plus, what's also weird is like, there's like, you know, a scene where Rambo uses fire arrows. Like, really? What direction has this movie gone in? And I think the plot is also much weaker. And it feels way too much like a rehash of First Blood Part 2's plot as well, guys, in my opinion. And plus, unlike the other movies, this movie barely has any impact on the franchise because you could literally skip this movie after seeing the first two films and go straight to Rambo 2008. It wouldn't change a thing. This movie had no reason to exist, in my opinion. And because I didn't like this movie, guys, and the reason why I don't like it is because it stopped the Rambo franchise for 20 years. We didn't get another Rambo franchise until 2008 with the fourth movie, Rambo. So, yeah. Like, what a disappointment that is, but yeah. But because of those few good qualities I mentioned, guys, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10. So, yeah. So, guys, this is me doing my ranking of the Rambo movies from best to worst, in my opinion. So third place would be First Blood from 1982. Second place would be Rambo 2008. Third place would be Rambo First Blood Part 2 from 1985. Fourth place would be Rambo Last Blood in 2019. And last place, and indefinitely in least place, Rambo 3 from 1988. Be disappointing, in my opinion. And I'm really hoping they won't do any sequels to Last Blood, guys, because, yeah, like, I feel like the franchise is overstaying its welcome, because, in my opinion, Rambo 2008 perfectly close a franchise. So, yeah. So, you know, drill, guys, be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to leave comments how you guys rank on movies with best worst, so you guys would rank them. Also, be sure to join Team Plan by pressing subscribe for much videos in the future. If you'd like to remember, you can press on PS out, give a description, and I'll see you all later.